Hello, everyone. I'm really glad to be here. I'm super excited to see and hear all of the teams. And I'm going to give you a 45-minute presentation. And then hopefully we can go to a Q&A as well, so we can start talking about your stuff as well in context of what I've been saying. But very, very briefly for you and for everybody watching out there, some basic rules. Yes, I do speak English, so turn English filter on now, even though it can be hard to distinguish which language is coming out of this, because I speak kind of fast. So, you know, start listening faster now to make the best possible use of this presentation. And for everybody watching online, this will probably be dubbed into Russian or something, so that will be okay. Anyway, as was stated before, my name is Donnie, which used to be, when I came to Sweden as a 6-year-old, that was kind of a dorky name because there was this famous guy called Donnie Osmond, a Mormon singer with 7 brothers and sisters. So I didn't really appreciate that. But then Hollywood came to my rescue, and they released Donnie Darko and Donnie Brasco. And so suddenly Donnie was cool again. So I'm okay with Donnie. That's okay now. I've sort of come to terms with my name. It's all right. And actually, the first 10 years after school, I mean, this is kind of fun because I was a total school dropout out of high school. I almost didn't even finish high school because the system had sort of determined that I was kind of sort of stupid because I couldn't sort of pass the tests. So, you know, what do you do when you're in Sweden and you're like 18, 19, 20? Well, you do your conscript service, so you do your sort of year in the army. And after that, you know, I didn't really have anywhere to go, so I actually spent 10 years in the Swedish Armed Forces, in the engineers, where I got my engineering training, building bridges up in the north of Sweden. So a lot of snow and a lot of bridges and a lot of engineering. But then again, after that, me and my sister started starting companies after 10 years in the army. So, and one of the first things we did was we were trying to import super high luxury English muesli to Sweden, which was a total disaster because nobody understood the whole concept of paying that much money for muesli back then. Again, you know, the timing to market part, which we'll come back to during my presentation. Then I started working again with my sister with a chocolate factory. We made super luxury pralines together with an award-winning Swedish pastry chef. And we sold pralines in boxes, handmade pralines for 10 euros each. And one really cool assignment we got was with Aston Martin, the car brand, that assigned us to make one special praline per car model that they had. That they sold a box for 300 euros with the car that they sold. That was a super cool concept. And then the latest thing that I've done in Sweden back in 2014 was an ice cream that I released together with some people based on, and this was an accident. I mean, I'm like the laziest entrepreneur ever. I had like 1,000 ideas per day and week. So, but the problem with good ideas is that they usually deteriorate into really hard work. So I usually tell everybody else about my ideas because I hope that they will do them so I can just consume them. You know, I don't want to do it. I just want to, want them to exist. But after speaking to people for 3 years about that there should be a low sugar, high protein ice cream on the market, and everybody thought I was being stupid, I said, well, I'll do it myself. So I did. And today it's nationally distributed and it's actually being exported now to the Nordics and the Baltics, and it's kind of cool. And of course the latest project now, that is super secret, FoodX, my new project in the US and China, where we're developing a whole new brand, a global brand of foodstuffs. Anyway, that's the food part, and then apart from that, I've done a lot of games together with my sister as well. If you've ever played, these games, Tekken or Battlefield, the 3, you've probably seen a lot of cutscene animations which are made with an animation tool from a company called Craft Animations, which my sister founded back in 2005. So a lot of gaming, online communities. This is her latest thing that she's running. And yeah. Oh yeah, of course. One thing we're doing now is we're exploring the possibilities of fitness in VR and AR and trying to see how can tech help people who don't train, and also enhance the training of those who do train. So we have this concept called Future Fitness Lab, which is more of an exhibition where we're trying to sort of show people what's possible. So super cool stuff. Spent a year in Silicon Valley, started up the Swedish part of the Nordic Innovation House, which is like a Northern European support system for entrepreneurs over there. Came home to my university, which is KTH, where I work today, meeting students and researchers that come to us and say, I think I have an idea. And from there, we take them to stardom and success, hopefully. Sometimes, I mean, we work with 300 new ideas per year. 1,000 people come into our office. 10% of those come out the other end as successes. So a lot of people drop off along the way due to lots of different factors, which I might come into as well. Shortly about me, I like to think about stuff, you know, challenge the perception of reality. And I think about, you know, important stuff like, why do we still have SIM cards in our telephones? Stupid thing. I mean, why doesn't the telephone just sort of connect to some cloudy kind of thing and just work? Why can't I change the ringtone of my microwave? Big questions. Or why can't I freeze stuff with my microwave? You know, important stuff. Why can't I forward a text message? And where does the white go when the snow melts? Really important questions. That's a joke, by the way. Yeah. This guy, he got the Nobel Prize in 1937 for discovering vitamin C. And his whole sort of mindset was, you have to look at what you're looking at today, but think something different. You have to change the way you think. Just like Albert Einstein said, well, he didn't really say that, but he meant it. We can't fix today's problems with the same thinking that created them. We need new thinking to break everything apart. So we need to challenge our whole perception of reality and rethink everything. And that's why you are here, right? Rethinking stuff. And then, of course, I cannot do a presentation. It's like a Pavlovian thing. I have to always tell people about my biggest hero, Laila Ågren, who got the Poland Prize, which is like a Nobel Prize for engineers in Sweden, for discovering something that you're all using today. Because back in the 50s, in the 50s and 60s, you could make phone calls from your car. But it was like a thing, right? And you couldn't drive at 60 miles per hour because then you lost the coverage between different cells. So it didn't work. So in the early 70s, the Swedish national phone company gave this task force of some brilliant engineers in the basement the assignment of, okay, rethink the whole thing. How is the future going to work? So Laila and a few others set to work trying to solve this thing. And there was a guy in the group called Östen Mäkitalo, who is usually called the father of modern mobile telephony. But as you all know, in any good relationship, it's the mother that does the hard work and the birth part. So she's actually the mother of today what we call, well, basically that's when I met her, the call button. She is the one that actually put her hand up and said, tell you what, why don't we, instead of lifting the receiver, getting a dial tone, then dialing a number, why don't we start the thing, upload the number, press a button, and let the computer do the work? That was her idea. So she is what you have here. That's her. I love Laila. She's amazing. And she, when I talked to her, her big thing was, one, creative environments, working with creative people, bouncing ideas off each other, because your idea is never good enough only in here. And even if you do want to say that you have more voices than one in here that you talk to, that doesn't help. You need to, you know, ideas are like puppies. If you keep them locked up in a really dark space, they get really, really sad. They need to be out in the park, running around, falling over things, and running into other puppies, and, you know, having fun. Same thing with ideas. Ideas in here are worth 0 cents. Ideas you talk about are worth like $10. Ideas you do are worth everything. But this is another thing, the correct answer syndrome. When we are working in a system, in a context that tells us how things are supposed to be, and we're taught that, you know, this is what something looks like, or this is what something sounds like, or school is really good, because school teaches us really early on that there's only one answer to every question. If you don't answer that answer, what happens then? You're wrong. And if you're wrong, you're out. So we teach kids, and they try to teach me, that if you don't answer what it says in the book, you're wrong. I don't care how many new ideas you might have. If you don't do this, it's wrong. Yeah, but the book is 10 years old. Doesn't matter. It's still wrong. Yeah, but the geography doesn't even look like that anymore in Europe. Doesn't matter. It's wrong. You know? So the correct answer syndrome isn't a school thing. It's a societal thing where we work in a society that sort of teaches us that this is how you do things. Otherwise, you're wrong. And we get the, protect your own back syndrome. You need a green check mark in the box to make, as long as I'm okay, everything's fine. And then you don't, fix the bigger problem. And I can talk, I can spend an hour on just this, because this is super important, because this creates a situation where people do things the right way, which is totally different from doing the right thing. Two separate things. Wonderful example, how things get stuck as well. Because, the problem with innovation isn't getting new ideas. New ideas, super easy. The hard part is getting rid of the old ones. They get stuck in the way. The QWERTY layout, this is a cliche thing in innovation, but the QWERTY layout, how the English keyboard is laid out on a keyboard, that was devised back in the days when they started making typewriters, and they needed a system where you had a good combination of where the keys were and how you wrote, so the mechanical arms wouldn't get stuck when you were writing. So they devised the layout. All languages had the same kind of problem. Today, no mechanical arms. Still using QWERTY, but not because it's the optimally best. There are thousands of different variations. Dvorak is a new layout for, not new, but an old different layout for like coders. This is a product that they released in the US that they said, this is the way you should be writing. Nobody uses this. Why do we still use this and not this? Because the biggest price you will ever ask any user, member, or customer to pay is the price of changing a habit. Choosing something new. You cannot just say, you should try this. It's much less sugar in mine than in that one. Doesn't help. If it doesn't become important enough for me to actively want to change a habit or understand that I should be doing this instead, nothing will happen. We always strive for status quo. That's how we are as human beings. We don't, the whole thing about, we don't like leaving our comfort zone. I don't want to learn how to, I'm comfortable with this old thing that doesn't, you get it. You're smart kids. And then, of course, you are here because you are determined to be, the ones with the better ideas or the smarter people or the more drive, whatever got you on this show to start with. Your problem is this. This is your consumer, your user, your customer. They have an innovation, this is their sort of their mental future, how far they can stretch their innovation. I could imagine myself eating a different brand of ketchup. Yes, that's, but ketchup is still, I still want ketchup. I don't want anything else. Mango? No, ketchup. The whole thing. You, on the other hand, you're the innovators. You're like sort of, whoa, you're visionaries. You're standing and seeing things. You can see this far. You see much further. The problem is, what you often make the mistake of doing, which I've made the mistake of doing so many times, you cannot sell this to that guy because they just won't get it. Or it will not fit into their context. It will not fit into their reality. They'll say, yeah, sure, sounds super cool. I might use that one day. Bye. And, and nothing happens. If you don't fit into their context, nothing will happen. You'll just be a visionary, creative person that was cool to listen to, and they'll go back and they'll buy their same old brand of ketchup. Nothing happened. You need to be able to, go back to where, at least to where their boundary is and start there and move forward. I was trying to sell NFC ticket services on mobile phones in 2005. And people were sort of, oh my God, that guy is so creative. I can send a text. I should have been selling SMS, not NFC. That company, by the way, we had that for a number of years. We actually quit the company in 2005, the year before the iPhone came. Talking about bad timing. But one of my favorite examples of the whole sort of understanding where people is this. Okay, so after Windows like 2000, we had Vista, Microsoft Vista. It was an operating system on Windows, which was kind of it was a horrible operating system. It was bloatware. It was like, in Sweden, you know, we have an expression when you take something old and just try and spice it up. We call it, you know, painting lipstick on a pig. It was just horrible. Nobody liked it. So they spent lots and lots of money into sort of, okay, we need to rewrite the whole thing. So finally, after a while, we got Windows 7. Whole new thing, rewritten, no legacy code. It actually worked. It actually worked. Finally, it was tighter, faster, nicer, and woo, it was flying compared to Vista. So what happens? They get, you know, this is great. Give them even more money. Become even more creative. Go crazy. And they did. And then Metro. And my mother's phoning me going, Donnie, how do I turn it off? There's no off. Everything is moving on the screen. I don't know what to do. You remember the picture with the guy and the arrows? What did they do? Back up, back up, back up, back up. Windows 10, start menu, stop button, perfect. Maybe the future will be Metro, but where we are as consumers, we still need what we know. Our context is a start menu, and the start, you know, that's safe. Windows 10 under the hood does more than Windows 8 ever did, but on the surface, nice, comfortable. So fitting into a context is super important. And then never losing track of what you are about. Because a lot of companies start with a purpose, an idea of changing the world, or I want to make things better, or I want to help this group do this. And they start with a purpose. And then, just because it's a natural progression in building a company, you become really, really good at delivering that first product. And then you start, looking into efficiency and cutting costs and making more for less money and blah, 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 and the whole shareholder value thing, which is horrible because it kills companies, because none of the money goes back into innovation. It all goes into shareholders' pockets. And then you lose track of your purpose and you become a product delivering company. Most large companies today are that. They're extremely good delivery machines of this product, be it a car or a foodstuff or a paper that you have pictures on, like Kodak. And then, even though they do have lots of ideas and inventions, the big thing for them is the production, and they lose track of what they were about. I mean, I don't mean to use Kodak and Nokia as examples, because those poor companies, they've probably been blamed for everything that's wrong in the world today. But I will say this, that if Kodak had sort of focused on Kodak Moment, which was a tagline, and said, we create Kodak moments, no matter in which media, on which whatever, they could have let go of the product, which was paper, and seen that it could have been something else. Even though they had digital cameras, they never could sort of let go of the product, the paper. So don't ever forget your purpose, what you are about, because the purpose will also fuel your why. And the why will fuel all of the weekends and the nights and the setbacks and the no's and the never gonna happen here, baby, you'll be getting in your face as you try and innovate. So you need the purpose, you need the drive. What are you trying to achieve? If you're only trying to, well, I'm going to do a little product and I'm going to make some money and then, that's fine, and then I'll do something else. Okay, fine, that's a good business, but that's not, that's not the world-changing effort of creating something that really will make a change. And I'm saying that because that's the kind of drive you need to make it work. And that comes back to this as well. Please focus on what you're trying to achieve, and not on what you're trying to make. If you focus on making money and then try and somehow whitewash some kind of meaning into that, that's the wrong way of doing it. Start with a meaning, start with a purpose. The positive by-effect of that will hopefully be money. And you know what? To be truly, truly serious, if you make a lot of that and enough of that, it's worth it. In the end, it will be worth it. Because it's the guy with the vitamin C and the Nobel Prize who is in my presentation, who we talk about. And he gave away, by the way, the short thing. The story about Albert Szent-Gorski is wonderful. He got he got a huge amount of money when he got the Nobel Prize. And his agent said, you have to invest this. You know, put it into the stock market. And back in 37, you know, Europe was like that. Well, almost 2017, Europe is like that. 18 as well now, but 37. So, but Albert said, you know, tell you what, okay, let's invest all of it. But I want to invest it in stock that will go down if there's a war and go up if there's peace. And his agent said, you're crazy. Why? We said, well, I could never live with myself knowing that I'm making money from people dying. Ever. So he put all his money into stock. That would go down if there was. And you know what happened? 38, 39, 40 and all of that. Lost every single penny. But to the day that he died, he said, I do it all again. I lost all the money, but I won and saved my soul. Albert, I love him. So, we live in a world where things are happening a lot faster than they were. I mean, we've been using machines to, you know, move people out of work ever since we had spinning Jenny, and you know, it's not a new thing. It's just it's happening a bit faster now. And just as a word of consolation, I want to say that, well, fine. If we'd said to like a farmer 200 years ago and said, or even 100 years ago, and said, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Farmer, 100 years ago, you know, in like 100 years, none of your grandkids will be in farming. Farming will, oh, well, it will be gone. Like if you're 97% of this country doing farming now, it will be like 2% doing farming then. And he'll go, oh no, my God, how will they survive? I mean, farming is all we know. What will my grandkids live on? And then you go, yeah, well, you know, they'll be YouTubers or social media influencers or web designers. And he'll go, what? We haven't even invented the jobs yet that our kids are going to have. So, you know, focus on a positive future. Like Douglas Adams always said, I choose to have a positive outlook in the future, because that gives me a direction and a sense of where I want to go, instead of always only being afraid of where I might end up. Positive outlook, drive, focus, and create your own future. That's what it's all about. So, how do we do this? Let's go through some really simple things. Some super things of how you can do this. You're kind of creative, right? When are you creative? When does it sort of strike you? When do you see the light? Any special time of day, any place, anything? Sir? Shower? Yes? What? Yes? Anything else?
When I'm listening to inspiring people.
Yeah, okay.
When you're out of your daily activities somewhere else.
Sure, yeah. Anybody mention the whole sort of in the bed, the twilight zone? Oh, I have it as that one, that perfect sort of, you know. Or you wake up and you go, I have it! And she goes, no, not again, shut up, go back to sleep. That kind of thing. Yeah, well, I mean, we have the 4 main B's of creativity, you know, beds, bars, bathrooms, and buses, where it sort of happens. And, yeah, okay, well, boring lectures. I put myself in there as well. That's one for me then, for you here. Not yet. Give me another 5 hours and you will see what you're talking about. No, but I mean, you said this. You know this instinctively where your creative space is. The trick is, 1, charging your creative head with questions. What are you trying to solve? Putting them in the backroom multitasking place, and then go about life. Go and have a shower, go to a bar, go for a drive, go do whatever you do, go to sleep. And you'll automatically come back to solving stuff. But you need the questions. You cannot come, an idea process never starts with an idea. Ideas are stage 3. Don't start, insights, questions, ideas. That's how it goes. You need insights, you need questions. That generates ideas that are worth something. So you need to prime your brain with lots of questions. There was a question there.
Yeah, inside of what?
Sorry?
What do you mean insights?
We'll come back to that. Bear with me here. And then you go, so, yeah, okay, well, I get all of these ideas then. Okay, so which idea should I pick? How do I start determining which idea I should work with? You know, well, I can never tell you which idea you should pick. I can only express my opinion on what I think is more important or not, which I will do now. So, very often we come to a situation where you have this idea. I meet a lot of people that come to me and they say, I have an idea, nobody has ever thought of this before. Yeah. You know, and then I go, have you Googled it? Which we couldn't say 20 years ago because nobody knew what Google was, but have you Googled it? Then you would have said, have you Alta Vista'd it or something? And they go, no, and I said, well, maybe you should do that and then you should come back again after you've done that and, you know, we'll see. So, but just to give you the benefit of the doubt, why the idea you have in your head, why is it not in the supermarket today? Well, there are a number of reasons for that. Nobody has ever thought of this before. That's, you say, okay, fine. Number 1, it doesn't work. Very often you have an idea, oh, it would be cool if you could do something like this, and then when you start working with it, you realize that, oh, if you any kind of food stuff and you realize that this process I've invented created poison, well, that's not a good thing for food. Maybe we could use it for something else, but not for the food thing. Again, timing, placement, again, you know, it just doesn't work. You have an idea that it sounded good up here, but just here, I realize that it might not sound. So that's the most used one. One is it works. Yes, we can make it work, but only in the lab environment or in a small environment or in my kitchen. It's impossible to scale. Maybe because it's too expensive to scale. Maybe the actual raw material that we're using. I want to make fresh juice out of something super exotic that nobody even might be able to get their hands on. If they do, it's super expensive, and just the air freight costs will be 10 times what I can make. You know, it just doesn't scale. That's one thing. It works, it scales, it just does not make money. People just don't want to pay for it enough. You know, it's there, but you just cannot make it work because, again, coming back to flying things around the world with airplanes, you need to have a price point that can actually match that. You need to factor in the whole thing when thinking about innovation. It works, it scales, it just can't make money. But, and now to the most important thing that we started talking about in the beginning, nobody wants it. Sounds really good up here. You get it on the market, you do your packaging, and you go, let's open the doors and let all of the 1,000 customers in. And no. Classic example is people that say, I'm finished. I've launched the web page. Now probably millions of people will come and visit my web page. Well, you know, launching the web page is like the start, not the end. You know, so it's a big thing there. So okay, let's say that you've come all the way and you have something that could work. And you've spoken to people and they say they might want it. By the way, when you speak to people, market research sucks. Because if you say, do you want to buy one of these? And they go, hell yeah, that sounds good. And then they want to get rid of you, and so they walk off. And then when you actually say, okay, well, pay me then, they go, I didn't want, no. I just said that to be nice. I didn't want to pay anything for it. You were giving me free stuff. That's good. And that's why sites like Groupon are kind of useless for customer acquisition. They're good for trials, but they're not good for customer acquisition, because people who shop on Groupon do it because they want to buy stuff for free. So don't expect them to pay anything once you get to that point. You use the channels for the right thing that they're for. And have the context in mind. Innovation. You have ideas that become inventions. And this is when the engineer phones home and says, "Mom, I'm finished. I invented a thing. Look, ta-da!" And mom goes, "No, honey, you're not finished." Because innovation doesn't happen until your idea is put in a context where it does something and it generates value for a user who is not you, that pays you money for it, or creates some other kind of value, be it societal or environmental or whatever. That's innovation. And that's the context you need to have in your head when you're thinking of your new ideas. How will the world look like when my idea is fully functional out there? What is the reality of people before/after I have introduced my idea to the world? What has changed? And what does it look like? And you know, how does it work? Systematically as well. How does it work? It doesn't just magically appear on a shelf. It gets there somehow. Somebody drives it there from a warehouse, from a factory, from a production plant, from raw material that is sourced somewhere. Everything needs to work to get your idea into a context. And then the innovation sweet spot, which is interesting when you're looking for new ideas. Coming back to the questions here as well, you know, external and internal factors of finding a good sort of place of what is a good idea and when is a good idea. I mean, you have external factors like what's going on in the world, trends, what's happening, and this is the timing thing. You know, what's going on? When do I think what might be happening? What are people latching onto? Where on the hype curve do I want to be with my product? You know, do I want to be a super cool person and understand that there's going to be a down before it planes out and becomes a good market? Or where do I want to be with my thing? What's going on? What's happening? Read magazines, go out, meet people. What are our customers going to want to buy? Not what they're buying today, not what they think they're going to buy tomorrow, but what do I think that they're going to want to buy in the future? And this comes back to market research again. When you are speaking to customers, which you should be doing, figure out who are going to be your customers in 2 to 5 years as well, not only the ones that are sort of today, and speak to them. But never, ever, ever listen to what they say. Never listen to what they say because they cannot articulate what they think that they might want to buy in 5 years' time, because they don't know what will be on the market in 5 years' time. But listen to what they mean. Listen to what they're talking about. Understand the underlying needs and pains they have. What are they trying to solve that might not even have to do with food? What's going on in their lives that I could help fix with a product later on? External factors. Internal factors. What can we do? What could we do? What is my skill set? What could my skill set be if I trained myself, or if I got some people on board in my team? What can I add on? How do I acquire skills? How do I build skills? And then this all comes together, and then, of course, the most important thing of all. What do we want to do? Again, purpose. What is our purpose in life as individuals and as companies? And this comes together. I'd say that Apple probably has an Olympic gold medal in this sport, where they can sort of, you know, 15, 20 years ago, nobody was lying in a sofa wishing they had a slate of glass, yay big, where they could, with a swiping motion, consume media. That wasn't what people were saying. But when presented with an iPad or a big smartphone, they went, "Oh, I've wanted one of these all of my life." No, honey, I've never heard you say that. "Oh, this is exactly what I wanted." You know, perfect example of. And when they released that, you had Ericsson engineers and Motorola engineers going, "Yeah, but we've had touchscreen phones for 5 years." You know, different thing. Packaging. We'll come back to the packaging part. So timing to market is more important than time to market. You're always in a hurry. I have to release this now. No, you don't. You have to release it when the user, consumer, member, whatever, is ready for it. Maybe before. Just before. Not too early, not too late, just before. And then this, and then we're coming back to the consumer part. And I talk about choosing vitamins or morphine and customer pains. How important can you become for your customer? Are you are you a vitamin that they will take as a supplement because they want to feel better? Or are you an actual, when they're in so much pain, we talk about customer pain and gains, when they need something, this is the only thing that will save them. How important can you become in their lives? And the more important you can become in their lives, the more probable that they will cross the threshold of changing a habit and starting to buy your stuff instead. It comes back to how important you are. And being an engineer, of course we have, this is your crying customer, the expression, the crying customer, the customer that's lying awake at night going, oh, I wish I had one of those, whatever you're trying to develop. How do you meet their needs? And the formula is, customer value is created by perceived benefit through cost, not another 5 gigahertz or 2% less sugar or whatever you're trying to, it's not on the hard facts. Hard facts are good for a certain, target group, but when it comes to like a bigger thing and getting people to not only buy it once, marketing can sell anything once. But if you want repeat and repeat and repeat, perceived benefit. They need to feel that this is good for them in any way, be it having fun with, it could be, I'm not saying that, I'm not talking about health. I'm talking about what they perceive as a benefit here. That's the key issue here. iPhone is one example. It's an iPhone, and Ericsson engineers were going, but our phone could do that for the last 4 years. No. It's a different thing. It's not an old thing. It's an iPhone. I have a friend who has a Tesla, and I go, oh, cool. You bought an electric car. And he goes, no, it's not. It's the savior of mankind. It's the new paradigm of environmental, not making the world a horrible place with lots of pollution. It's this is saving the world, baby. And I go, it's an electric car. No, it's bigger. So yes, he will pay 50,000 euros. Gladly, he'll pay 70,000 euros for it, because for him, I'm having one of these, So you need to understand what's going to make them go, oh, I love this, and text their friends and Instagram going, lollipops, and whatever they're doing. That's what you need. And not sort of, have lollipop, I don't want, take it. That's not going to work. And then, understanding your customer, yes. Depending on, if you're working with food and any big business where you're talking about mass market, we need to understand who's the user, who's the payer, who orders, who pays, who makes decisions, who uses, and the whole list. Just because somebody wants to eat it or use it doesn't mean that a superstore will take it in, because for them it's a crappy deal. You need to understand every tier of your sort of the chain of the users and consumers on the way, because everybody's a consumer, everybody's a customer on the way as you're delivering your product. And you need to understand every single step of the way, and what is this for every part of the chain. Usually in the middle parts it's like money, exclusivity, things like that, but it could be different. And then when you're working with, this is a really good model, the value proposition canvas. Alexander Osterwald, who made the business model canvas, which you probably all know, and you probably are using it. I hope you're using it. Business model canvas, Alex Osterwald. Anyway, he has got something called the value proposition canvas, which is a really good way of testing your idea on the customer. Because you have a customer here, customer jobs is like everything they want to achieve in their life. Everything from, I need to get to work faster, I need to lose weight, I want to be happier, I want my kids to do better in school. Whatever they want to achieve is here. And then you have gains and pains. What's stopping them from achieving this, and what could help them achieve this? You know, a list of that. Moves over to the other side, which then you have there gain creators, what could be offered to meet that, and pain relievers, what could be offered to relieve the pain that we experience, and that then, of course, would match against products and services. Super simple way of just running your idea through a very checklist of things. And of course, what are you building? Are you building a feature? Are you building a product or a company? And this is a tech example, but this translates very good into food as well. I mean, is it a list of features? Advanced new camera system, better battery life, immersive stereo speakers, brighter display. Is this what you're doing? Like a plug-in thing? Or are you making a product, like an iPhone? Or are you building a company and a brand? Also, something you don't have to decide this from the start, but you need to determine sort of what you want to create and what you're trying to achieve. And then you have, the risk and reward thing. The bigger you want to aim, the higher the risk and the bigger the reward. It's really easy to get in low. Consultancy is usually the easiest way to get started with business. You sell your hours. Very hard to protect, no big risk, very small reward. And then as you sort of add on licensing and products and branding and building a factory and whatever you're doing, increase risk and increase possible reward. This is like a super crash course on everything here when it comes to this, but we'll go through it very quickly. When it comes to context, and you're talking about your customer, remember that they only have so much space here, that's much time here, and only that much money there. You need to take a share of mind, time, and wallet from something else, because they won't invent new time, they won't make space in their head, and they won't definitely not invent new money. You need to push something else away. What are you asking them to exchange for what you're offering instead? So you need to understand what you're up against. And I'm not talking about competition. It's very easy to fall in this trap. You look exactly at, sounds like, looks like, feels like, and you say, okay, well, I've got one of these, so it's obviously this one, that's my competition. Wrong. It's all about customer alternatives, not competition. Customer alternatives in a context. If I'm going to a movie, if we're going to a movie, the three of us, I don't phone you and say, let's go and have a Coca-Cola at the movie theater, and then there might be a film playing. No. In the social context, we go to the movies. We might be passing by somewhere where they sell soft drinks and popcorn. And I'll go, yeah, I'll have give me a super special whatever, big thing of popcorn and a soft drink. And they'll probably only have one brand. So I can't even make that choice then. I don't really care. I just want a soft drink. I might not even want a soft drink. I might just be thirsty. Water? Fine. For me as a consumer, it's not about choosing between this Coca or in the context. It's about how are you how are you meeting my needs and demands at that point in time in a bigger sense. Sounds a bit vague, but it's really important when you start thinking about what value you're actually adding to a situation. And of course, and this is my most simple picture, but my most important picture. To get this, what comes in has to be more than what goes out. Just saying. It sounds really stupid, but you'll be surprised how many times, especially when it comes to internet entrepreneurs, they completely mix up the arrows. And the whole thing goes into it. Everything has to be factored into what's gonna work. And then, of course, as I said, ideas don't realize themselves. People realize ideas. And when you're hiring people in the startup, I'd say look for people who are as infected with the bug as you are, because long nights, weekends, the whole thing, a lot of hard work. It's really hard to demand a lot from people when you're not even sort of paying them the good money to begin with. So you need to, and always hire up. Never hire down. You don't want to hire an organization of dimwits that you always come to work and say, oh, I can do the job better than they are. Well, why did you hire them in the first place? You want to hire people that are better than yourself to do things that you cannot do yourself, and always hire up and create a team of people, and you come to work and you go, oh my God, today I have to be sort of really on my toes to be a part of this amazing team that I've chosen to be a part of what we're trying to create. And then, of course, the shopping center test. It's a really, really simple test when you're doing a job interview. Imagine yourself in the shopping center in, what do I know, the center of Riga. And then it's Sunday afternoon, you're with your family, they're with their family, and you meet them in this shopping center. You have like A, B, and C. A is you meet them and you go, hi, how are you? It's good. Okay, fine. Nice. Hi, family. Okay, well, I'll see you on Monday. Oh, cool. Nice to see you. Okay. And then you walk off and you say, well, he's a nice guy. Yeah, he's a nice guy. He does good work too. Yeah, cool. That's A. That's okay. That's okay. B is, oh, good to see you. Oh, you've grown. This is amazing. Oh, you were just like this, and now you're like, oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, well, blah, 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 blah. See you on Monday. See you on Monday. Well, Monday's going to be fantastic. Monday is the best day of the week. Monday morning, clean slate, new chances, new opportunities. Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Boom. You know, and then you know, the guy thing, you know. We don't do this. We go, yeah. So that's okay as well. C, ABC, is sort of, oh my God, no, not that one. If you get that feeling when you're doing the interview, C goes away, A and B are okay, just as a recruitment thing. And don't think, I mean, and this is important. It's never, ever, ever, ever about this. Never about being right. Never. It's about trying to get it right. It's a constant trial of trying to get it right. And you will never be completely right or finished and be able to say, ha, I know exactly how to do this. No, it's a constant strive of doing something better. And in that, you can ask people for help in a humble, open way, and they will help you. Nobody likes a wise ass, but they love a humble, open person that honestly asks for help, and they will give it. And then you come into a pay-it-forward culture where people actually help each other. So, ending off with that, I'd say, you know, never lose your sense of curiosity. Always look at new things and be overjoyed, naively overjoyed. Oh my God, this is awesome. I love your idea, because the energy of a new idea is magic. It's, you know, what magic is made of. And let people live in that. Don't ever say, that's the most stupid thing I've ever heard. You're stupid. No, that does not create a forward momentum. You know, just because the idea sounds not perfect right now doesn't mean that the problem they're trying to solve is wrong. Maybe the problem they're trying to solve is ever so important, but they've got the wrong kind of thing for it. Work with the idea. Puppies in the park, have fun. And find that. Because you need, every day is like this, as what you're trying to do now. So you need a heck of a lot of that. Because every night the stone comes down again. Me, having done this for so long, in a kind of a semi-masochistic way, I kind of enjoy pushing the stone. Because it's part of the thing, you know? And the harder, the bigger, the heavier the stone, you know, the more fun it is. In some weird way. If it was easy, everybody would do it. If it's hard, you know, you get it. So, don't be, yeah, I wasn't allowed to say this on TV, so don't be yeah. Don't be that guy at work. Don't park like that. Don't take up more space than you need in the subway. Don't be that guy. Just pay it forward. If you are open, and open every conversation by saying, how can I help you today? If everybody says that, we have a pay it forward thing that goes around, and we help each other and succeed. Some of us here will not reach the end of this journey, but hey, you'll probably succeed with something else, some other time. And what goes around, comes around. Trust me. And if nothing else, in the end, it's a hell of a lot more fun being a nice person. This is what drives you. Why am I doing this? For whom, for what, for why? My purpose. Never ever lose track of that. The product can change over time, but the why and the purpose remains. Why are you doing it? Thank you.